what is impossible with man is possible with God. Luke 18:27.
Welcome to your online coffee break, where we discuss bite-sized topics that inspire, educate, and entertain. Here's your host, a software innovator, award-winning marketer, and astronomy and space buff, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining me today for this special edition of your online coffee break. Now, obviously, a lot of us are staying at home right now, doing the smart thing, practicing social distancing. But for those of us who are spiritual and we're turning to God, we're turning to church, there are a lot of churches out there that are streaming their services every Sunday. However, what about our kids? A lot of them are used to going to Sunday school. A lot of parents out there wondering how to keep their kids or encourage their kids to still follow God on this. And there's a wonderful company responding to this by offering a free online church at home program geared just for kids. Its company is called Minno. Now, Minno is a new Nashville-based children's digital media company featuring one of the world's largest collections of classic VeggieTales and an expertly curated collection of media choices for Christian families. Now, they're responding to these changes due to the current pandemic with the free resource for families unable to physically attend church. Minno's free church at home program affords families an easy-to-use, home-based digital Sunday school experience. Now, I'm pleased to introduce today's special guest, Erick Goss, the CEO and co-founder of Minno.
Wiping out the Weiner brothers, an adventure with thankfulness. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 18. Give thanks in everything, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus.
Online coffee break.
Erick, thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chuck. It's good to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, Erick, I have to admit, you've got this incredible background that includes serving in the Navy as a helicopter pilot, a spokesperson at the Pentagon, and then even earning a high reputation as an innovator in digital marketing with Amazon. I was just wondering if you could just tell our audience a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in central Kentucky, just south of Lexington, and there were no men in my family that actually had college education, and so even trying to navigate kind of going to college was like I wasn't really sure what to do, right. And so but I'd done really well academically, had a chance to go to the Naval Academy and study computer science there. Have always been a bit of a geek at heart, and ended up flying helicopters for the Navy, and then was a spokesperson at the Pentagon working on the news desk. Nice. And that was one of those things they just sort of throw you into the fire. And and so ended up representing the Navy, talking to, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, which, they truly put you on a firing line in a figurative sense. Yeah. And then had a chance to go to business school in Michigan, at the University of Michigan, which was a real opportunity for me from a career transition standpoint. And then ended up at this company in Seattle that everyone thought was going to go out of business called Amazon.com. And it was a unique time. I mean, I grew up in a I wouldn't call a poor family, but not a well-off family. Mm-hmm. And here I was in the middle of downtown Seattle with all these Ivy League grads, building the future of e-commerce. And so it was an incredible experience for me, totally intimidating in the first kind of 30 days and sort of got my footing. But in the process of sort of going through that, also, I grew up spiritually with the Navigators. So Excellent. Even though I grew up in kind of a nominal Christian family and went to the Naval Academy, got involved with the Navigators, and then had the opportunity. So as I was going to business school and in Seattle, was pretty involved with the church and actually helped do a church plan in Seattle. And so there was sort of this evolving kind of faith work kind of trajectory for me, and was at Amazon for 7 years, got to work with incredible people, worked with, a lot of the folks I worked with are senior executives at Facebook, at Uber, Groupon, Google, kind of a who's who of management teams for impressive. E-commerce and digital media. And so, but while I was there, I just felt like God calling me to put my gifts to work at building something that could be more kingdom centric. Mm-hmm. And so, and then my mom was widowed in Tennessee. or in Kentucky. And so we decided to leave Seattle, move to Nashville, help my mom out. And then while I was here, I initially was working as a chief marketing officer for an e-commerce company, but had the opportunity to start a company, incubate a company in the faith-based media space, and have been sort of in the faith-based media space for probably the last 10 years. Wow. And a lot of my experience at Amazon informed, opportunities that we felt like were available for children's media. And I wouldn't necessarily call myself I'm not a guy who grew up in children's media and hadn't really thought twice about it until I had kids. But as I was getting more involved in the church and also looking at what was going on with sort of the trends in the U.S. relative to church attendance, just recognized strategically, there probably can't be a higher priority for the church than to focus on what can we do to stimulate the imaginations of kids when it comes to thinking about the opportunities and the possibilities that are available with following Jesus Christ. And so, in one sense, in one sense, I have a lot of friends who are at, the big media companies who look at me and sort of, like a dog trying to look at you like, what are you doing? I don't understand what you're doing. Sure. And then, on another hand, it's been exciting for me to be a part of a team that can build a platform that can create opportunities for people to put their gifts to work for the kingdom. And that's been the thing that's been so exciting, is to see what God's been able to do as we attempt to follow his call and be faithful to what he's put on our hearts.
Oh, well, Erick, that is just so impressive, and it is amazing how the Lord works, and this is such a critical time, as you said, and I love the timeliness of it. You just launched Church at Home, which is completely free. It's available around the world, and there's a new episode every weekend. I have to say, I really enjoyed week 1. Can you give our audience just a general overview about the program?
Yeah, so we actually launched Church at Home about a week ago to our subscribers, recognizing that a lot of churches were going to be live streaming their services. And I've had the privilege of working in mega churches, being a part of kind of mega churches, but also being a part of church plants and getting churches started from nothing. Wow. And what I recognize is there are a lot of churches out there, even the mega churches, that aren't going to have anything for kids. And kids may actually be in a situation where they aren't going to be able to do Sunday school or children's ministry or those type of activities for, nearly, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what part of the country they're in. Right. And so just thinking through that, we're like, hey, we've got all the resources and the assets to actually create an at-home program. And so we have put together Minno Church at Home to make it freely available to the public. What we've set up is basically 3 sections. One is Watch, where the team has basically curated, pieced together, biblical worship, Bible memory components from our catalog to basically allow parents to be able to have an experience for their children at home that they can watch start to finish. Right. As I'd say, we want to make it where parents don't have to think about it. We just want the parents to be able to push play. And then the second is we have our best-selling children's Bible, the Minno Laugh and Learn Bible for Kids, that was written by VeggieTales creator Phil Vischer, and we actually are making a full chapter of that, as well as coloring pages and activity sheets. And so parents can just download that, and they can have that to be able to read with their kids. And then the last section is more kind of exploring Minno. We've made a number of our series basically available to the public for free. These would typically only be available if you're a subscriber. Right. One of those is something that we get excited about called the 5-Minute Family Devotion. So parents can basically do a 5-minute family devotion during the week. And then we have a ton of activity, coloring pages, and supporting activities for families that go along with Church at Home. And so that's kind of the Church at Home project in a nutshell.
See, I love it. And one thing I guess I was impressed about too is you're also sharing content as well from the Minno Life blog, such as how to talk to your kids about coronavirus, which I think is so important these days.
Yeah, we've had a lot of parents come write in saying, "Hey, how should I talk to my children about coronavirus?" And the two things as we're trying to find information, look for information online, the two things that sort of come up are not necessarily how to talk to your children about it. and then also, how to look at this from a spiritual perspective. And so our team's done a great job working with experts on basically, how to communicate with your kids and how to assure them and encourage them during this time that, God is still Lord and he's still with us and helping us navigate this process.
See, it's wonderful, and it's very easy to use. I think that's important to point out in this day and age. It's basically got 3 easy steps. As I understand, you go in, you choose a worship song, you watch a Bible video, and you enjoy more devotionals. Can you tell us more about just that process?
Yeah. So on the Bible video, what we've done is we've actually, we've been evolving over the last week. And so on the video piece, we've actually curated a video. So basically it's a combination of videos. It's about a half hour long for parents. And we just released this yesterday, actually. So it's we're innovating as we go. Sure. And then with that, we've also got video resources where parents can go in. This week, we're featuring Little Worship Company, which is a really great series for preschoolers out of the UK. We've got allegories, and then we've got our 5-minute family devotions. You just click through, and you can actually see all the videos that are associated with that. And so that's really kind of the first part of kind of the watching part of Minno Church at Home. And then we've got the read part of this where you can actually download part of the Bible because we wanted to make that available to parents during this time while everybody's stuck at home.
So that's wonderful. Can you tell for our audience just how can they access this program?
Yeah, so you can go to Minno Church at Home. It's MINNO Church AT Home HOME.com. You can also Google it or search for Minno, and Minno is MINNO Church at Home, and it should pop up.
Excellent. Now, we're talking about Minno, and I cannot believe you literally just last November you launched Minno. Tell us how that came about in the first place, and tell us more about just Minno in general, because there's a lot of content out there that parents would love as well for their kids.
Yeah, so Minno in many ways is like a Netflix or Disney Plus for Christian families. And so, what we've really tried to do is have a place where Christian families know that it's a God-friendly place. Like I often say, a lot of the major platforms aren't God-friendly. They don't actually want God's name mentioned at all, unless in profanity. Yeah, and so what we've done with Minno is we've curated the best children's programming that is faith-oriented, faith-explicit. We've got one of the largest collections of VeggieTales available in the world. And so for folks who are familiar with VeggieTales, they'll find, over 30 episodes of VeggieTales. And then we've got a lot of other great series that some people may not have heard of because over the last, since Christian retail has sort of really struggled, a lot of creators have created some new series that are really exciting, but most people have not been able to hear about them. So we have series like Buck Denver Ask What's in the Bible, Micah Super Vlog, allegories. And so ideally the platform set up for children from 2 years old to 10 years old. Wow. Okay. And the feedback that we've gotten is first, it's really great for families who are trying to instill Christian values in their children. The second is it's one of the few places that parents can actually allow their children to have screen time and not be stressed. Yes. So we say that we're trying to provide a compromise-free environment for parents. And so we've got the video component. We also have a children's publishing division where we publish resources for kids. And in September of last year, we released the Minno Laugh and Learn Bible for Kids, which is actually, I think right now the numbers show that it's the fastest selling children's Bible in the history of Christian publishing over the last 10 years. Wow. And so, and Phil Vischer, who created VeggieTales, is the author of that and did a fabulous job in creating a really fun children's Bible. And what's unique about it and what we really want to be intentional about is a lot of children's Bibles are written for adults, but illustrated for kids. Right. And we really wanted to make this a children's Bible that kids could read and enjoy on their own. And we get gets a lot of emails from parents who basically are saying, hey, my 7-year-old's staying up late, with a flashlight in bed reading the Bible. Nice. And so, so we've got that resource, and you can actually find that at Amazon as well. And then we've got the Minno Life blog that you were mentioning earlier, which the real challenge right now is being a parent is evolving. And so as we talk with parenting experts, and child development specialists, what they're telling us is a lot of the advice that they were giving even 2 years ago is changing on the basis of what's happening with technology and what's happening in culture. And so we really wanted to be a place where we could be a fresh voice and get the latest and greatest information, but also combining that with, the constant of God's love and his faithfulness in the midst of, a culture that's becoming more and more hostile depending on where you live to our faith. And so that's a great resource and a place where we can really encourage parents, because what we find is parents are really struggling with what does it even mean to be a Christian parent today,
right,
and what does it mean to come alongside their kids and support them.
That's wonderful. Eric, I can't commend you enough for just this incredible content. I think Church at Home is just a wonderful program. Again, that's free. For Minno, they can find out more about that by going to gominno.com. Again, Eric, I just thank you so much for sharing this wonderful Christian content with our audience. And we just wish you, your family, and the team at Minno, just God bless you all. And thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Chuck, just one last thing. I would encourage folks from Minno Church at Home, because we sort of see these resources and we're like, this is awesome for me, but we forget like other people are in need. And so I would say I just encourage folks to share it with their church leaders, because a lot of church leaders are really struggling with how do they really serve their families in this time. And so if this can be a resource that they can share with their church leaders to get distributed, we really want as many people as many people who need it to be able to have access to it. So I just throw that out there.
No, Eric, that is so important, because my wife and I, we were listening to a streaming service or watching a streaming service last week. And that's when this week, I heard about your Church at Home program. I thought that is so true. We need something for the kids, and they just can't necessarily, every church can't implement this program. So now you have this program that's very kid friendly. And again, just encourage all our audience to share with your church, share with your friends, and it's just make it a better world for all of us in these trying times. Eric, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
Online coffee break.
Wow, I really enjoyed my conversation with Eric today, and I'm really excited about the Church at Home program. Again, to find out more about that, just go to their website at minnochurchathome.com. We really want to encourage you to share this episode with your friends, with your churches, to help get the word out that there are free resources out there for kids and parent alike to keep their faith strong during this critical period in our history. Again, I want to thank Eric for taking time to join us today and spread this word. I want to thank you for joining us today as well. We really do appreciate it. Again, share this episode, comment, give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. We really do appreciate it. Thanks again for joining us today. We'll see you next time. God bless.